Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series.
Because creators are businesses.
What we do is not simple.
Give, the fans everything that they deserve.
Being creative
is like doing a 5,000 piece puzzle.
Is something that you can learn and do over and over again.
Always be as authentic as I can be.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series. I am thrilled today to have David Jarvis here with me. He's a motivational speaker with an incredible story of resilience. He is helping people today embrace their challenges, build resilience, and find strength in the face of adversity. David, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're very welcome. Happy to be here.
I want to get in and I want to give you space and time to share your story. What got you into this space of being a motivational speaker and going down this path of entrepreneurship and doing all of this?
Straight out the gate, it wasn't even my idea, if I'm honest with you. So I left the British Army 3.5 years ago. I was medically discharged. And when you've been in the service that length for a long time, so I was in a little over 2 decades, 22 years, give or take.
Wow.
It'd be rude. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't institutionalized to a point. I was used to a way of life because you're paid by the day, not by the hour. You're there till the job's done. And when you come out and you start learning the work and do the 9 to 5, and it's quite challenging to get used to that way of life. You haven't got your mates in the next room or been able to knock on your door when you're having a bad day and whatever. So I had a lot of trouble with that. And the long story short, over the year after I got out, I got a lot of help from various veterans charities, PTSD, various medical injuries, all that kind of stuff, all the stuff that led to the medical discharge. And that led me to the Invictus Games, which is something obviously a lot of countries, including the US, are involved in as well. We had the 10th year anniversary was last year. The last one was in Canada in February, I believe. So I did the one before that in Germany in 2023.
Okay.
And I signed up like most military people. They've got problems with their recovery and they're needing help with it. And that's what I signed up for. And I signed up to milk everything I could out of it. And I signed up to loads of different events. I had no particular aspirations other than just get the most out of the experience.
Yeah.
And about 3 months before the games, I ended up getting diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And it was quite a horrible experience, to put it politely.
Yeah.
I lost over a quarter of my body weight in 2 weeks. Doctors told me it was only a matter of days and I would have been in a box, basically. And they said, you need to think about quitting. And then I was like, well, I need to learn this new life-threatening condition, so I need something to keep me focused and make me want to do it. And I thought, well, I'm not just going to go for it now. I'm not just going to attend to take part and do the recovery thing. I'm going to go with intent of trying to win. And I settled on doing the cycling time trial as being the one, because it's just me against the clock. There's nobody else. I'm not going to impede anyone else's thing, and all that kind of stuff. It's just, I've just got to get my head down and chew the handlebars, basically, as we say in cycling. Anyway, long story short, managed that. Came back from the games, and my local council, so over here we pay a monthly fee. Everybody pays a monthly fee to the council. They look after our roads, our water, our sewage, all that stuff. And they also provide various facilities around the region, sports facilities, that kind of stuff, schools and so on. And they asked me to come and talk to the local school, and tell the kids, we're talking 5 years old to 12 years old, tell them about my adventures and show them some medals and bits to bump and hopefully try and inspire them. Another school heard about that. Apparently it went quite well. Another school heard about it. Another one heard about it. And then, rolling the clock forward a little bit to March 24. So the games are in September 23. And I got pinged for a local sports award in the region. And whilst there, they read out the testimonials of all the finalists, and we had various companies sponsoring different awards and so on. And one of them heard the testimonial and came up and asked me questions over the night. And it was a dinner night, and all sat around a table. And it was actually them that came up with the idea. So all that story, we're finally getting to the answer to the question. They actually said to me, you've got some great stories. There's things people want to hear about. Now, I'd never put any value in those stories. I had a lot of trouble recognizing the value I had in my experience in the military when I got out, which is where a lot of the problems I had with my mental health when I got out. And they're the ones that said, that line from the Batman movie, Dark Knight, where the Joker is doing that thing where he's pulling the thing with the
Yeah.
grenades. And he says, yeah, if you're good at something, never do it for free. And they just reminded me of that line. And I was like, well, all right, then fair enough, because I enjoy talking to people, and hopefully you get that already. And then, yeah, that's where it started. So that was the 15th of March, 2024. On the 16th, we Googled what we call here in the UK Companies House. That's the register of all businesses, and started learning how to start a business. And that's where it came from. So
Love it.
there you go.
Along this way, and as you've been doing this, has there been a challenge, a hurdle that you've had to kind of jump over in the last, year and a half, that's kind of been, okay, this is different now with this business hat on, with this entrepreneurship hat on?
Yeah. So back to that point I made about my mental health and the challenges I had putting value on my experience in the military, learning to translate what I did in the military, all that experience, how to translate it into some value in the civilian world, in terms of the work I can do and the kind of work I can do and so on. That applied to all those stories and things as well, all the stuff. I mean, you gain a lot of stories over 20 years. Every member of the military does, we've all got value to add. And like most, I didn't know what to do with it. And that was the biggest challenge. But then with the business in mind as well, it was how I sell that to companies with the aim of trying to get gigs. That's been a big challenge. I've gotten a lot of experience doing schools and charities and local groups, and I've worked with the likes like the Women's Institute, for example, is one of the sort of charity that's UK wide. I've worked with on the men's side, we've got something called the Men's Shed in Scotland. It's like a kind of like a youth club for grown men, basically, to go to work and things like that, and stuff. And I've been down there and talked to them about mental health. I've done stuff for like the Cub Scouts, the Girl Guides, the primary school level, young kid level, 5 to 10 years old. But then I've also worked at secondary school level, which would be sort of 12 to adulthood, I've looked at how helping kids sort of embrace the idea of change, moving from school into career, and the idea of getting past that change, and goal setting and habit setting and stuff like that. But how to sell it to corporate level, where the big money is speaking, that has been the real challenge. So, all these groups now are great. They've one's talked to another and it's led to something else. But getting into the corporate space and getting that ball rolling and that snowball growing, that's been a real challenge. And it is coming. I've started getting some more paid gigs recently, but working on it still.
You get down really quickly your 30, 60, 90-second elevator pitch and sorts of how do you sell yourself and what is it that you can really bring. It's those tricky things that I too have a real problem with my side of my business as well, with my media company. I'm like, how do I make it so as a social media manager where everybody can do it today, how do I set myself apart from others that it's not just another social media manager, it's not just another person doing this? What sells yourself? And it's hard. It's really hard.
That's it. I mean, you Google motivational speaker and, well, it is a very long list. It
is.
So you're absolutely right. I completely agree.
Now, have you found you've always been a good speaker? Did you have to kind of go put yourself through the paces of learning to speak and become comfortable standing in front of people?
No, I enjoy talking to people. Hopefully you get that impression. In terms of public speaking, so whilst I was in the military, my primary job was I was a communications engineer.
Okay.
But like most people in the British military, we've got various secondary roles. So we'll do different things: security officer, other adventure training officer, medic, whatever. I was actually what they called an all arms physical training instructor. Okay. And I did that. So 3 times a week, typically, we would go and take the squadron out or the regiment out or whatever, depending on the size of the unit, the base we were at, and we'd basically go and turn them inside out on an assault course or, a weight march or circuit training or run or whatever, beast them into the ground, So I got used to chatting, to talking to people. And after I did that for most of my career, I got my first qualification in 2000. So I joined the army in 2001. and I got my PTI qualification in 2004, and then I held it for the rest of my career, and I still do stuff now. I enjoy the fitness and nutrition side of it. I had various other qualifications to back it up, mind you, but the idea of talking to people, instructing people, beasting people, I should say, being really aggressive in a military style training, that was bread and butter, and I wouldn't say it was easy, but it was just stuff I got used to doing because we did it frequently, But funny story, the first time I did that first school I mentioned, that first part of the snowball, I actually prepared a PowerPoint. I followed the sort of thing. I did a lot of instructional work in the military, and I did the typical thing. Made a few PowerPoint slides, put a few pictures, a few bullet points, blah, blah, blah. This is for kids 5 to 12, by the way. I didn't know any better. I just kind of went with what I knew, realized within the first minute that it was the completely wrong thing to do, and just turned it off in the end. And then what I did with the second school is I brought loads of shiny things in. So kids, dare I say it, they're much like magpies. You see something shiny and they want to know about it,
Yes.
And that's what I did. So I gave them a 2-minute spiel. I had a photo album with about 160 odd photographs from the military, from the Invictus Games, from adventures in my own family. I've got 2 young kids as well. And I basically put this album up in front of them. I put medals in different things. I brought my bike in. I brought various other stuff. And I said, right, what do you see behind me? These are my adventures. This is what I am. This is what I've done. Give them a 2-minute spiel. Look behind me. What do you see? What do you want to know about? And then there's a hand. All these hands go up and everything, and it's a bit mental. So if you look on my website, for example, speakingsbc.com, there's a photograph there where you see one of the teachers from the background and taking a photograph and mid talk with these young kids. I think they were 6 or 7 years old. I think it was one of the lower years, and all of them hands are all up, and I'm sat there pointing at a board, and that was the way it went. And but I learned it was like my diabetes. I learned how to live with that through mistakes, a lot of mistakes, and that was a clear one. But I didn't know I was going to get into it, into speaking. I mean, at that point, I was just doing it because I enjoyed doing it, and I wanted to help. I've always had this desire to help people, and I always believed that it starts in the mind. You've got to want to do something before you're going to do it. And you've really got to want to do it to keep doing it consistently, because you need that discipline in your head, otherwise you're a one-hit wonder, you know what I mean? So
amen. Amen to that. Now, what are you looking forward to as you continue down this road? We were talking about, getting to the corporate side of it and doing some of those talks. What else is exciting you? What do you want to do more of with this motivational speaking space?
I like being around people, bottom line. And I say bottom line. The bottom line is I want to help people, because it's, as I said earlier on, I firmly believe that it starts in your mind. You've got to want to do something. And a lot of people struggle to get that that desire, because I do believe anyone can do anything they want to do, they've just got to have that want, and that's the bit I want to try and help people with, because I've been toying with the idea of changing my title from motivational speaker to something, someone else's idea again. I'm not very creative, I won't lie. Ideological things, it kind of sits in nicely with the trade I used to do. But I do logical bits. But the idea was presented to me was, instead of being a motivational speaker, be an activational speaker. I'm trying to call people to action, for their good and benefit. Good and benefit their lives. The idea of helping them to set realistic goal that they can then instill positive habits to help them achieve it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But then it's like we're not talking like New Year's resolutions where you just try and lose a bit of weight or stop drinking for a month or whatever. It's something like life changing, in that they can sustain it, for the good and benefit of the rest of their life. The analogy I use when I explain to people is, if you think about you go to a gym, a big gym, like, I don't know, one of these big name brands. I'm not sure what brands you have in the US, but you imagine their biggest intake would be New Year. After New Year, everyone's got the New Year resolutions. They want to lose a bit of weight, get their holiday bodies and all that kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. But the biggest drop off statistically is February, because statistically speaking, the average person needs 6 to 8 weeks to develop a habit, to actually make it a habit. And the problem with starting a new program, talking about a new user to a gym, a new member to a gym, it's a whole new routine. They've got to learn to go to the gym, as in getting the kit ready, driving to the gym, going in, learning the equipment, getting in with the appropriate person to teach them, and then going through the turnaround process afterwards, getting cleaned up, getting changed, driving back again. it's not just half an hour working out on a treadmill. It's like a 2 hour epic now,
Yeah.
that's a big change. That's not a simple thing to do.
Yep.
So, and hence it all lines in. So the idea I've got is that it starts with the simple things. The little things make all the difference, and it starts with something as simple as getting up at the same time every day. You train your body clock so that you don't need an alarm clock, does that make sense?
Yes.
And then you get up and you get a glass of water, so you hydrate your body. It's not had anything to drink for 8 hours. Then you take it a step further and you do something to get your brain in gear. So you maybe do I don't know, for me, I do Rubik's cubes. I like to do a little Rubik's cube in the morning just to get my brain turned up. I taught myself to do it while I was in operations. It's one of them, took me weeks, but I tell everyone it took me a day. But yeah, I had nothing better to do. But yeah, so I do that just to get the brain ticking over, and then I'll do like what I call my maintenance workout. It's a few press ups, sit ups, squats, that kind of thing. Nothing fancy, but it's just to keep my joints, because my knees and shoulders are, excuse my French, knackered. So it helps me maintain the muscle around the joints and protect the joint. Typical squatty injuries, I should say, but it's little things like that. It didn't just happen all overnight. One thing, it starts from, you get up at the same time every day, then you get a glass of water, then you do something else and something else, something else. With the military, particularly, I'm not sure what it's like with the other services, but with the army, they break and make you in basic training. So they instill that discipline, So I've maybe got that advantage over people who haven't been in the military. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it starts from the little habits. And I'm a firm believer that that's where it begins, and you build it up from there. So you don't just start with a wall, you put the foundations in and add the bricks one at a time. The same principle applies. So yeah, and that's where my logic goes.
Love it.
So
I firmly agree with you. I think it's the little things. It's, those routine habits that you get into every morning when you wake up. It's your nightly routine as well. It's those little things that make up what your day is like, that feel mundane in some ways, but they also are habits that you get into that make your day up in a sense.
Absolutely, yeah. I've my other half kind of hates it when I say this, because I've got this line I always use, and that's that there's no such thing as a perfect plan. The military line is, there's no plan survives first contact, but a reasonable plan will help weather the chaos. Because if you can get that basic routine in the morning, you start the day as you mean to go on. Especially if you can get the important bits done, the bits that you need to know that you've got done, so that you don't get caught out later in the day. Like, I don't know, you pay your bills or the house jobs that you need to get done before the kids get, things of that nature. Because the first thing in the morning is the point of the day when you've got more control, because you don't know what's going to happen the rest of the day. The chaos can ensue. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Especially if you're like commuting to and from work, you can't account for what the drivers are going to do on the road. You could be the most careful driver, but someone else could hit you.
Yes.
You can't account for that. So, and so that's the line is you get a basic routine. Starts from getting up in the morning. You build that basic routine to get your day started the way you want to go on. I don't care about the rest of the day. The morning's the important bit for me. I'll let that chaos ensue. I'm quite happy to wing it. But the morning bit's important. Once I've got that bit done, I can relax and just go with it, if that makes sense.
There you go. Makes total sense. Makes total sense. David, my last question for you is along this journey and along your career in the military, or even now as an entrepreneur and this speaker hat on, has there been one book that you would recommend everyone to read that has made an impact on you, that has inspired you, that you have carried with you?
Let me think. So since I got out of the military, the one that really kind of changed my mindset. So one of the big challenges I dealt with before the business idea came along was understanding what to do with my finances. And by that, I mean, when you're in the military, most of your bills come out at source. What comes into your bank is yours, that's it. You don't have to worry about paying for your accommodation or your food and things of that nature, yada yada, because you get everything you need on the base, a car and a phone, and that's all luxuries, So when I got out, I had to kind of understand what I needed to do, because I had a family to think about, so it wasn't just getting the job, it was what do I do with it once I've got it, So I read something called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I can't say it's the best book since sliced bread, but it certainly opened my eyes about what sorts of things to consider when working with your finances. Now, it's centered around a guy living in the US, but
Yep.
so it's different to the UK, but it was that idea that you make money work for you. Do you know what I mean? And you
Yep.
try and do more with it. Now, I'm by no means well off in any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
But that's kind of, it made me realize that I can do more and I can work towards a financial goal, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And that has also helped me move on with the business side of it as well. You know, the idea of using credit cards to buy the basic stuff rather than using my own basic bank account, you know, and things of that nature. But that was I would say, dare I say, instrumental, because obviously the finance side, like a foundation of the business. You know, without the greenback, you can't, you know, what are you going to do? You know what I mean? You've got to get the money coming in. Do something sensible with it. So that book, you know, or something like that, a book that teaches you how to better understand money and how to make it work for you. You know, and that was the one I used, Rich Dad Poor Dad, and that I think would be essential reading.
Love it.
Not just for business, but personally as well.
Love it. Love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. David Jarvis, I can't thank you enough for sitting down with me and sharing your story. I so appreciate it. I can't wait I'm going to go watch your 4-minute that you did this past week, and I'm so excited to see it.
No worries. Feedback's always welcome.
Yeah. I so appreciate it, you guys. Please go check out David and his website and everything that he's doing. Keep up and keep in touch with him. And as always, I will see you guys back here next time. Bye, y'all.